Hello there. This tutorial is to go over how to use your student Gmail. First, let's go over how to access your Gmail. If you are on a Chromebook, you will see an icon similar to this, or you can access your Gmail using the Google Apps waffle menu. Once you are in your Gmail, it's a good idea for you to set up how it looks. Please click on the gear. The gear icon are all of your settings. Now initially it just shows some quick settings. Let's go through these. First off, we can go through the density. Density is default, comfortable, or compact. If I click on comfortable or compact, you can see how that looks. Now the default, I believe, is comfortable, but it depends on how small of a window you also have. You can choose different themes if you want. This is a personal preference. For now, let's go ahead and stick with the default theme, but you can choose whatever you like. If you want to view more, you can click on View All. Also on the right, we have the inbox type. There are multiple kinds. Let's go through what they are. The default is to show primary messages first, along with promotions and social messages. Now, Gmail tries to figure out what they are based on who they come from, things like this. I don't tend to recommend this one. Let's go ahead and check out important first. Important first means that the people that you mark as important will show up at the top of your screen. How do you do that? Well, just to the left of each name, you will see a arrow looking symbol, which you can click to make anyone particularly important. For example, let's say I wanted all of my emails from, let's say, Hans Magleby to be showing up at the top. I would click on the icon to the left of the name, and then if I refresh my screen at the top, now Hans Magleby will show up at the top. If this is an error, or maybe Google put this in error automatically, you can click on this again. And now this name will appear in the everything else area, which is all the stuff you do not have marked. Now let's try unread first. Unread means everything that is unread or never have been opened will appear at the top. Now, if you are someone that reads all of your emails, then this is a very good thing to do. But if you're one of those people who has 1,000 or more emails that you've never opened, this may not be the best one to use. Now, starred first are ones you can star. These are all the ones shown here on the left where you can star these particular messages. These are ones that you want to mark or save, and you can use different colors. So you can use things like yellow and red and all sorts of other colors. Now, if you don't want to keep this starred or marked, all you have to do is wait a second and click it again, and it should go away. Priority inbox. Priority inbox can be customized. In the priority inbox, you can choose what comes up at the top. You can choose important and unread, or just important, or whatnot. And so you can have multiple sections in your inbox. It just depends on what you like. Similarly, you can have multiple inboxes, such as things like the normal inbox, stars, drafts, spam, things like that. And so you can include everything here, which may or may not be useful, but you can customize that as well. Okay, the next thing to look at is the reading pane. Now, if you have a small screen, which most of you do on your Chromebooks, this may not be super beneficial. But if you click on Right of Inbox, you will see a conversation that gets opened. Let me just show you a sample email. So if you click on one, you will see the message appear. Now, do you want to do this? Again, that's up to you. You can also put it below your inbox, but that tends to be a little bit harder to see. In my opinion, I use the important first. I like to keep certain people marked on top. This also means that things like Google Classroom notifications do not tend to make their way toward the top. And we can talk about separating Google Classroom as well in just a moment. Okay. Now, in the Settings tab, you can also do all settings. Now, if you click on that, you'll end up with a whole lot of different settings you can mess with on your own time. But some of the ones that may be very useful for you, if you scroll down a bit, you can see things like grammar and spelling and autocorrect and writing suggestions and all this. But one very important thing is a signature. When you finish an email, your signature will automatically appear if you create one. Now you can click on Create New and create a signature. You can make the signature whatever you like. For a professional email, which you guys should have, typically you have your full name, whatever your title is if you have one, such as, let's say you are ASB president or anything like that. In my example, I have my title of teacher. And then my email address is listed below. Now, for myself, I give out my phone number to people to return a call if they want to call me instead. Now, of course, you don't have to do that, but just so you're aware that people do put that in their signatures, as well as a website of them. And so, for example, my website looks like this. And so one of the things I do is take care of the Green Engineering Academy page. Now, other things as well can include like badges. If you earn a badge online, those are things that professionals tend to get when you're an adult. And then later on, we have things like where are you working from? So for you guys, what's your school? If you end up emailing someone outside of the school using your student email, it's a good idea to let them know what school you're from. Okay, so those are some really good ones. Some other things are labels. Okay. What a label does is it will mark what items are. So let's give it a try. Let's click on create a new label. Now let's go ahead and call this our Google Classroom. Your next line says nest label under. Now what this means is that if you have previous labels, you can nest this label under something else. So it's like a sub-label basically. You can see some of my examples here where I have like vice or assistant principals. I have sub-labels of assistant and vice principals separately. Um, you don't have to do that. You can if you want, but it's really not a necessary thing, but it is a useful thing. So if we create a Google Classroom label and then we click create, you'll be able to either show the label in the list, such as I have now shown here. You can hide that label in the list. So let me try to hide that. So you see it's no longer here on the left. Or you can just click show if unread. That means that messages that have not been read before, then this label appears. Any of these options are up to you. Okay, now what's the usefulness of this? Well, what you can do with this is you can organize your emails. So let's say you end up getting a whole bunch of Google Classroom stuff, which you do all the time, right? Anytime a teacher sends you something on Google Classroom, a new assignment, an announcement, anything like that, shows up. Well, what you can do is actually filter those particular emails from that particular person or email address, right? So what you can do is under filters and blocked addresses, what you're going to do is click on create a new filter. Now, from can get a little tricky with Google Classroom because those emails tend to be different every single time. But what you can do is maybe put either a subject or has the words or something like that. Let's try Google Classroom. Okay, and then you create a filter. Then it's going to say when a message is an exact match for your search criteria, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to delete it? I don't recommend that for Google Classroom because there are some things maybe you want to keep. I do recommend you choose apply the label and then click on Google Classroom. Once you do that, you can choose categories if you want, if you're using that, and other things too. Like never send it to spam or mark as read or whatever. There's all sorts of different things you can do. Now, if we click create filter, let's check out what happens. So in our new label, Google Classroom, there should be nothing in there. That's pretty normal. Okay. But once somebody sends you something from Google Classroom, things will start appearing automatically in this label or folder. Okay, so that's a way to kind of automatically organize stuff. You can either choose it like from specific people, or you can choose like specific keywords like Google Classroom. There's all sorts of things to do with that. Now be careful with just using words. For example, if somebody puts the words Google Classroom in the message, then it may filter to Google Classroom automatically and you didn't intend that. So Um, you have to kind of play with it and see what works for you. But again, if you're someone who does not read your emails very much, it is a good idea for you to automatically organize things quickly. Okay, let's go ahead and check out how do you write an email. First off, you're going to click Compose. Now, I'm going to make mine a full screen so you can see, but typically on the bottom right, that's where you would write your email. Okay, choose someone to send it to. For other students at our school district, all emails are using a student ID number at UHSD, or excuse me, students.avhsd.org. Now, you can also search for people, right? You can start searching by name, and this includes teachers as well. So if you want to search for my name, there you go. So you can find a teacher's name at avhsd.org, or you can search for a student's name. For example, there's a bunch of people with my first name, or it's part of their last name. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to choose my own name. You can choose to send it to whoever you're supposed to. Subject. Let's be very clear about what a subject is. A subject is 2 to 3 words long of what it is you are going to be talking about. It's kind of like a title. You do not write your message in the subject. That's very unprofessional. Please don't do it. Some people made the argument that teachers can quickly read what it is that the students want in the subject when they do that. That's super unnecessary, and honestly just makes you look fairly incompetent. So you want to only write your subject in the subject, not the message in the subject. So I'm just going to title my subject, let's say, how to write an email. I don't know, something like that, right? It's a few more than 2 to 3 words, but you get the idea. It's a very short message in the beginning. Then you start writing your email. Okay, now I'm going to make my size bigger because my screen is a little small, but you guys can change your font however you like. If you want your font to look like the normal, just leave it alone. But maybe you want it to look kind of fun, like Comic Sans, or maybe you want it to look more typed, or however you want. It's totally up to you. The first thing you need to write is a greeting. Examples are hello, comma, good afternoon, comma, good morning, good evening, things like this. You always write some sort of greeting. Then you push enter. It's best if you write this just like you would in an English class. You should have a starting paragraph, which means you should have an indent. Now in an email, indents are not usually automatic. You can click on indent more. Okay, but sometimes email doesn't really take the indent much. So if you do 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will always work. So you can use either one, but the space bar tends to work the most stable. Now write your message. You can get straight into it, but it's polite for you to begin with some sort of like a greeting. I hope you are doing well. Something like that, right? Let's try another one. If you know the teacher or student or person maybe more personally, you could ask a question about maybe their lives, such as, how was your weekend? I don't know. But let's try the kind of generic, hope you are doing well. Now let's get into the basis of the email, right? So just as an example, I am learning how to write an email. Can you reply to this email? Things like this, okay? Now notice how I didn't say any of this using texting language. For instance, LOL, BRB, things like this, right? If you are writing a professional email to someone, please avoid doing any of those things. Even other things like I need help cuz I don't get it. CUZ is completely inappropriate. You should be spelling out all of your words. Okay? So, because, right? Do not write short texting language in an email. You can do that in a text message, that's fine, especially among your friends. But in an email, you want to write very professionally and with good grammar and spelling. Okay, now the ending here is your signature or your, let's say, how you end an email, right? A salutation. Now you can do this a few ways. My preference is thanks, and then I write my name. Kind of old-fashioned, but sincerely, and then your name is another way to do that. If your signature appears below, some people do use just the signature and kind of leave that as it is. It depends on what your signature is. Okay. Again, it just depends on what you have there, but you want to have some sort of opening, greeting, a greeting in your email out of politeness. Talk about what you need, asking the person what it is they can do to help you, etc., talking about what you're talking about, and then some sort of salutation. Again, notice how the title or subject is a short version of the body. Now, if you don't know what you're going to say, write your email in the area first and then write your title or subject. The problem with that is sometimes people forget to write it, and then the email comes up as no subject. And sometimes it's more scary for the reader um, than having the subject because they don't know what it is. Anyway, so that's the basis of how to write an email. Um, you click send and should be good to go. One other thing, please do not ask someone to reply to an email right away. Okay, this is the bad way, right? As soon as you can, or in the next 5 minutes, right? Don't do that. Um, Emails, by definition, are not intended to be responded to immediately. It's only when people are able to work on an email response that they can do that. So the expectation is somewhere around 24 hours at most. If someone doesn't reply to you in 24 hours, um, typically they haven't seen it, they've ignored it, something like that, and that's not good on their part. So um, if you need to get a hold of someone right away, call them. Or if you have their phone number and they can text them. But, um, you know, emails are not designed for that. Okay. You click send. All right. And then in the other person's inbox, right, they'll get an email that looks like this. Looks good, right? Now, let's say you are responding to an email. Please do not click compose. Lots of people do that. Don't do that. Click reply. Another thing is if there are more than one person in the email, there usually comes up another button that says reply all. Unless it is appropriate or absolutely needed, do not click on reply all. In a professional setting, that can get you in a lot of trouble. It's unnecessary, and frankly, it's just very unprofessional. Don't do it. Only click reply. If you want to send this email to someone, you click forward. But if you click reply, that will send it to the person who sent it to you. Now, if you need to edit this or maybe send it to another person, you can click on this and change it up a bit. One other thing I do want to show you are the letters CC or BCC. CC is where it stands for carbon copy. A lot of people don't know what carbon copy paper is, but let me show you what this means. Carbon copy paper is typically something like this, where you have usually multiple pieces of paper in different colors, such as this white, yellow, and pink. If you write on the top one, the bottom ones will have the same writing using an embedded ink. Now, originally, carbon copy was something that looked something like this, where you actually had a piece of paper with like charcoal all over it, and you would put it between two pieces of paper, and the carbon would go onto the bottom paper. So CC stands for carbon copy. In an email, this means that the carbon copy people, they were not intended for this email, but you want them to read it. Now, BCC stands for blind carbon copy. And what that means is that anyone in the BCC area, the readers do not know who also received this email. So if you have someone in BCC, and let's say we do, someone else, these people would not know who got the email. However, if you put it in the to area, they would know that the person in the to area got the email, and then they got the email as well, but they don't know who else also got it. So that's kind of how that works. So you can respond to emails or send an email to CC or BCC. And then once again, the same things apply from earlier. You want to have a greeting directly to their email. Let's say you didn't read this until the evening, so you can say good evening. You can respond to their opening. Doing well, thank you. And then respond to the rest of it, right? Something like that. And then once again, do your greeting and your email, and then your salutation. And then click send. Okay. So that is how you write an email, and you write it very professional and things like this. You've learned how to organize your inbox and adjust your settings for how you like it.